All right, so it's been a minute since we done came with something on this channel, man, but it's Samsung season. Of course, I went out there and picked the S23 Ultra up. So let's go ahead and talk about it, man. What's my first impressions? How am I feeling about it after using it for about a week? What am I doing? Am I switching away from my iPhone, going to the S23 Ultra? Let's go ahead and talk about it. Now, if you don't know, well, you may not know because this channel was fairly new, but the S22 Ultra is what I consider the phone of the year last year when it came to all the phones out there. 13 Pro Max was on GOAT status, especially when we're talking about that battery life and just stability. Everything I felt like was on point with the 13, but when it came to Samsung and it came to the S22 Ultra, I feel like that just offered everything in the package. So going into the S23 Ultra, I didn't know what to expect. I felt like that was just going to be a minimal upgrade. You really weren't going to be able to tell the differences, but I got it in hand and I started using it and it felt very familiar. I said, you know what, this feels like going from the iPhone 12 going to the 13, where people didn't think it was big of a deal until they got it in their hands, and everything all together makes it such a good device. And I'm gonna go ahead and say it out there right now. If you got an S22 Ultra, I think you should upgrade and get the S23. In the world of everybody saying you shouldn't, I'm gonna go ahead and break some things down doing this little impression video that I like, where I feel like you should go out there and get your upgrade on. So first things first, when you get this thing in hand, is basically that. How it feels in hand is so much better, in my opinion. Some people may like the rounded size coming from the S22 Ultra, but when it comes to the S23, and I don't think it's anything that you can really see on camera, but these squared off designs, I know you want to do it, Samsung. Just get us back to the flat designs. Let's just come. I know every year you start to kind of reduce that curve more and more and more. I'm team no curved. I want to give me a flat, beautiful, flat display. That's what I want to see when it comes to my Samsung devices. But the way they squared off the corners on this just feels so good to hold. Now, I'm be real with you. I'm never going to use my S23 naked. I'm always going to have a case on it, but I'm going to tell you what, it makes it very hard to use a case because the way this thing feels, and they did an amazing job squaring those corners off to where it just feels that much better. So shout out to Samsung for that. The corners being squared off feels amazing. And by the way, this is the 512 gigabyte Phantom Black, as you can see here. Samsung makes some dope colors. I wanted to try my hand at one of the custom colors, but I didn't want my my delivery date to get pushed back. Because you know Samsung sometimes like to play games when it comes to those exclusive colors. So that's the first thing that I really love about this phone, man, is the squared off signs. Such a subtle improvement. That's what I like to see. Now, the next thing is going to be something that I don't think a lot of people are talking about. All right. I don't think a lot of people are talking about this, but I think this just, that Snapdragon Gen 2 for Galaxy, first, I thought it was a bunch of mumbo jumbo. I was like, you know what, man, this is just going to feel exactly like the S22 Ultra. There's nothing going to be different about the S23. I was wrong again. A lot of us creators out there were wrong who was using this. Some people say you don't buy it. Nah. That Snapdragon Gen 2 for Galaxy does a few things for the S23 Ultra. For one, it keeps the device insanely cool. Now, I wasn't one of those people who said my S22 Ultra was burning up. I guess I may not do enough on my phone. But even with the initial setup of this thing, with me going through the setup process, setting all my apps up, getting all of my designs when we're talking about home screen setup, and don't worry, I know a lot of you are going to ask, I'm going to do a separate video talking about the customization of my actual home screen. But it didn't get warm. I feel like it didn't get warm to the slightest bit. It kind of felt like my iPhone, which I also feel like doesn't really get warm when I'm doing heavy tasks on it. But it just felt good to, like, this thing kept cool. And it's something that you just think about in the back of your head. It's nothing that you're really paying attention to. But when these devices are in your hand, you can tell. Like, it ran a lot cooler than the S22 Ultra does. And I don't think a lot of people are talking about that. Now, on side, keeping on par with that Snapdragon Gen 2 for Galaxy, the battery life. Now, Samsung, I got to give you your props. If it was a little bit later in the day, I will pour up a little drink for you, Samsung, to say congrats, because every year, yes, Samsung had amazing devices. If there was one Achilles heel with the S22 Ultra, for me, everybody use case is different. But for me, I felt the S22 Ultra's battery life was just a little bit up and down. You had some people who had amazing battery life. You had some people who had suspect battery life, which like myself. But when it comes to the S23 Ultra, man, the consistency across the board, across social media, across YouTube, this thing's getting good battery life. And I'm easily pulling 6, 7, almost 8 hours of screen on time when it comes to this battery. I think I may have a few screenshots. The first day I ran it, it did 6 hours of screen on time with me going heavy, not putting it down. The second day may have been like 7 hours. If I have the screenshots, I'll post them up on the screen. But I'm impressed. This is the first Samsung device. I'm going on record to say this. This is the very first Samsung device that I can get through the day without having to worry about battery. Sometimes when I would leave out, have a busy day, I'll be a little concerned. Be like, you know what? I don't know if my Galaxy can last all day. Now, It's not a question. This thing can last all day. The standby battery this is exciting. Like what Samsung is doing with the Snapdragon Gen 2 4 Galaxy, the 4 Galaxy chip is exciting for devices like the S23 Ultra, the Fold 5, the Flip 5, those things whose battery life has been a little hit or miss. This is a big jump. This is a big step in the right direction. And I really hope to see the same performance filter over to all Samsung devices, because right now they have the battery figured out and I'm loving it. Now, staying on the Snapdragon, the performance. Now, the S22 Ultra was smooth, all right? It was very smooth, but once again, I gotta take my hat off. I'm about to pour me up a drink because Samsung is really doing their thing, man. Look, this is probably the first device that I feel like is almost pixel levels of smooth. Now, I hate to even say that. You know, I'm not gonna say iPhone levels of smooth because the 14 Max just has this whole suite of bugs that I don't even wanna talk about. It just hasn't been the best experience. But now when we talk about smoothness, we gotta compare it to Google. We gotta compare it to the Pixel. That's what I'm getting from this S23 Ultra, man. Everything you do on it is just smooth as butter. There's no issue. This is the first Android app, the first Android phone that I feel like, now I know I'm not one of those people who's doing the fast scrolling test, but it just goes to show you that I feel like this is one of the first Android devices, in my opinion, where Twitter is buttery smooth. Now we all know Twitter is one of the most app heavy, it's a heavy device on Android, on any phone, period. You know, a bunch of images, loading, doing different things like that. It is butter smooth, no issues, all right? Now, talking about the rest of the phone, I mean, fingerprint scanner is also gonna be amazing. You really can't go wrong with a fingerprint scanner, but I'm gonna tell you a little bit about this face unlock. This face unlock, I feel like I'm having a little bit of a problem. I don't know if I didn't register enough light. I keep registering over and over, but I feel like this year the face unlock I don't know, like, I'm looking right at it, clearly looking right at it. And it did it right there, but it did it right there fine. So now it's working fine. You know, now it's working good. I feel like it's just a hint slower than it used to be. And sometimes I just get misses completely when I'm looking directly at the face unlock. So I don't know if it's time for Samsung to kind of up their face unlock, but it was bothering me enough to make a video about it. I wanted to make a video about it. Then it started acting right. So I'm not sure what to do when it comes to that face unlock. But the face unlock for me has kind of been, you know, hit or miss, whatever. But the main thing I'm pretty sure y'all want to hear me talk about is the cameras, the 200 megapixel cameras. What is that actually doing for anything? All right. Now, I haven't taken many pictures. I've taken a few, me and my son goofballing around like I normally do. I'm not one of those people who's going to go out there and take pictures of Grand Canyons and I'm not going to an amusement park. I'm not doing anything. I'm taking regular pictures like I normally would take on any given phone. I'm not staging my pictures because that's how you can really see the performance of a camera. Now, throwing up a few stills on the screen, it's done fine. You know, he was moving a lot in these pictures. And the Samsung shutter lag, I know we don't like to discuss it. We don't like to talk about it. But guess what? It's a thing. It's improved. But I've just been known to just grow with it, look past it. And it is what it is. Now, I haven't downloaded Camera Assistant. I haven't downloaded all these different things to get it to work correctly. But we'll play with it. Time will tell when we start using it if all of that makes a difference. And, you know, if it really does. But for me, the camera seems, it's fine. You know what I mean? I'm anxious to go out there and take more pictures. I haven't taken a bunch of pictures, so I really can't speak on the camera a lot, but I do want to just try it out and see what's up with it. The 8K, the 8K on this thing looks absolutely amazing. Before 8K was a gimmick, I feel like 8K now is usable when it comes to the S23 Ultra. My dude, Alex Gear and Tech, he made a video. I'll be sure to link it down below and I'll pop it up on a card. He did an 8K test. Crazy. Because you don't get that insane crop anymore. It just looked so clean, and I was so impressed because now 8K is almost usable. I'm not sure who would actually use 8K, but it's something if you want. If the option is there, you can use it, and you'll be fine. But yo, I didn't want this video to go as long as it did, but the S23 Ultra right now, I feel like there's no phone that's going to come out this year that's going to beat it. I feel like this is already the champ because it's so refined. I mean, the S Pen, if you do use the S Pen, it's there. All right, if you use the S Pen, it's there. I'm not a huge S Pen person, but it comes in clutch. I just had some paperwork being sent over to me, and I guess what? I had to sign it. I'm on my S23, boom, S Pen. That's when it comes in clutch. I don't use it all the time, but trust me, the times I need it, it's there. Once again, it's a product that's there when you need it, out the way when you don't. And that's how I feel about the S Pen. But More videos coming on the S23 Ultra, of course, the display. Do we even have to talk about how beautiful the display is? This is a great display once again. I know it's a little bit different than the S22 Ultra, gets a little bit brighter, but guess what? The display is always the best on the market. There's no debate. I'm not up for the debate to talk about displays. The S series is always usually the best displays on the market. So future videos coming for this bad boy right here, man. We're gonna get into it. Once again, customization video coming up. We're gonna talk about just a few different things when it comes to this phone. We'll figure out the videos. We'll get the channel going. So if you're in for the ride, man, make sure you hit that sub button. We starting off a little small. We trying to grow something here. But if you do want to know about accessories for your S23 Ultra, then you might want to go over to my main channel. That's my bigger channel. That's where I review all of the accessories for the device. So make sure you head over there, hit that subscribe button over there too, man. I appreciate it. Catch y'all on the next one. Later.